Hey everybody, this is Rydo, and today we're starting a series on Castle Crashers Steam Edition. Although, in all fairness, I will mention that I didn't see a major need to buy the DLC that unlocked 2 more characters. By default, particularly, your experience for this game is going to be very different whether you're playing with 3 friends online or just random people online versus playing single player. By default, you have a green knight, a red knight, a blue knight, and a orange knight. I guess, is that really orangish? I guess it is. And they have several different weapons that you'll collect throughout the game, and I think they have different, like, ultimate attacks. This is not quite an action RPG, more a hack and slash RPG. The last game I played, Deathspank, was an action RPG, and it came out 2 years later by a different company. This is a 2008 game, and they went really hard in promoting this when it came out, obviously, from I believe the developers are called Behemoth, or Behemoth is probably the right way to pronounce that, and they have like merchandise, and they promoted this quite well. It was a pretty good game when I first played it. It will be interesting to see how well it stands up to a second playthrough. Here we have like a how to play elements that we don't really need to look through, and then the settings on this game when I first launched weren't quite right. It was not in the right resolution. Letterbox I don't think should be turned off, but that's a weird visual game setting. Most of these are visual settings under game settings. The only thing that's actually not visual is vibration, gore being on and off. There's a weird thing about this menu that you have to accept the settings instead of just being able to hit B and back out and it autosave, or at least pop up a question mark. This game also went pretty hard on some modern concepts that would have been out when this game came out, in the sense that it is heavily focused around promoting online play. It's heavily focused, well, not heavily focused, but it has DLC when it really shouldn't as a small indie game. The audio was pretty loud even when I did my normal turning down of audio in games, so I had to, usually I turn all games down to about 10% of their maximum, and they're still too loud half the time there. Then the music and sound effects and voice volume, which we probably won't even hear voices because I assume that is voice chat volume, which is going to be off anyways, for 2 reasons, because I'm going to be playing this game separately, sololy, as keyboard settings where I'm playing with a controller, so those don't really matter. We can look at them, you can see you can edit those, but then you have controller settings, and you have 2 options here: Castle Crashers and then Back Off Barbarian, which seems to be a mini game. But if you look at the button layout for Back Off Barbarian, literally every button is used to move except for clicking the left stick to talk, or not used at all, or the pause button, of course. And it doesn't seem like you can actually change any of these settings. Pressing A to change the view just changes this, so it's hard coded. They did say at the beginning of the game too that they recommended a controller, and I would heavily agree with that. For almost every game that has controller support on PC, you probably are better off playing with a controller until you start getting to the level of being a pro and want to play keyboard and mouse in like a first-person shooter. I have no idea what GestureWorks gameplay is, but I kind of assume that it might have been some weird accessory that was out at the time, but we'll just leave it off since that was the default. And I think that's more than enough setup. Let's jump into the game. Now, so yeah, there is this new Back Off Barbarian side game, which definitely wasn't there when I first played this game. I don't even think it had an arena option. I didn't mention that also, it seems like you probably go through the story several times if you want to, and it keeps the level kind of like Borderlands. So your character just doesn't reset. If you want your character's data to reset, you have to hit the Y button in this menu, and if you want to reset all save data, you have to hit the X button, which hopefully it would warn from that. So much like Deathspank, this game is trying to be high action. It feels very arcadey here. I also see in the bottom there is a probably prestige number, for lack of a better explanation, and a voice chat indicator if people to show who's talking. It feels like you could plug in 4 controllers into a PC and play this local 4-way, which you definitely don't have a lot of that happening. So that's interesting too. Do I want to go with green, or which looks like it would do poison damage? Orange, which looks like it does probably some life stealing damage, like white magic damage. Blue, which seems like it would do ice damage, or red, which looks like it was doing kind of a lightning damage. I think red probably is the most interesting one, but green might be cool too. Let's go with red. I want to stick on this menu for this long. So you have 2D art, and you have the red guy throwing up the horns and rocking his head back and forth, doing a nice visual gag. So unlike Deathspank, I don't think we're going to have too much audio here. She can tell us about animal orbs. Let's see what that is. Animal orbs provide various bonuses and enhancements. If you befriend an animal orb in the wild, they will loyally follow you. And you're just hitting X to talk to her, and that is and that's just swinging your weapon over the characters, and they're not even hurting you. Here we can see we're breaking barrels and picking up sources of food that are, I imagine, refilling a already maximum health. And we found 3 gold coins. Let's see what this guy has. Hey, did you forget how to use items? Here, take this health potion. Press the right or left bumper to toggle your inventory, item inventory. Press B to use the item you've selected. I'm hitting X right now, so now we have a potion equipped. You can see at the top left. It's a really nice UI there. A lot of polish for compared to a lot of games I've seen where there's very little effort put into making a life and mana bar look interesting. The only thing I would say is that at this resolution and playing on modern monitors, you don't need so much of a buffer from the edges. It would be pretty nice if you could adjust this HUD heads-up display to get that further in the corner. Let's see. I can tell you how to use your magic. Hold right trigger to activate your magic. Hold right trigger and Y for a splash attack. More magic abilities will be available as you increase your magic skill. Add skill points to your magic to increase your magic abilities. When trading magic is the most devastating skill you can acquire. So, there's our magic attack, which also drained our mana, and then the mana refilled automatically, which is kind of great. I can teach you the basics of combat. Press X for a light attack, it's fast. Press Y for a heavy attack, it's press A to jump. Very basic tutorial stuff. Left trigger to block. Okay. Alternate your attacks to perform different combos. Let's see. Let's do here and see how this all works. There's a problem with B being the potion thing, because it feels like now you're going to have to play between Y, X, and A and be fairly careful not to use your potion up. And if I do this, that's a less powerful attack. So if I hold left trigger and then hit that, it's just a smack. And then if I hold it longer, then it will work. But if I just quickly hit Y and left trigger, well, that works too. So I'm not really sure why the right trigger exists. Like, it seems like it's an odd toggle to do a magic attack where I could see you doing a way better job. Let's see if we can change the settings on the controller now. No. It doesn't seem like it. Yeah, I can see in the controls already that, and weird to have downloaded content just in this main menu. Had you just had the right trigger be the thing that heals you, that's less likely to happen, and then have the B button in itself be the magic attack, I think that would work better. Although I guess maybe we will get more magic spells later that probably would destroy that idea, because there probably is a right trigger X button, there's probably a right trigger A button. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a right trigger B button too, and that would explain that modifier. So then the question is, what left trigger was just block? And yeah, block doesn't seem to do anything. Also, it doesn't seem like any of these items are too sneaky or suspicious. I kind of like this cartoon art style. I don't know if you have enough here that this could have turned into a whole franchise. They clearly wanted it to be. And here we have a king, and here we have a bad guy stealing the gem of the king, and here we have a bunch of people who are dead. So what would the game look like then if we went and turned off the gore? Apparently you can't turn it off. So yeah, gore is just going to be on. It's not going to be a big problem. You don't have to worry one bit about hitting regular people. And here we've just got some bad guys. And it's a stupidly simplistic and obvious hack and slash beat 'em up action RPG game that we have here. The only difference is it is clearly heavily inspired by something closer to a arcade game, whether you're talking like the Ninja Turtles arcade game. I'm not sure what the actual original arcade side-scrolling hack and slash beat 'em up game would have been. I would think probably the 4-player version of Ninja Turtles might very well have been one of the first. There's clearly a Simpsons game. Eating all this food I don't think actually does anything. Here we see that there are 3 princesses being dragged away. Or 2 princesses. There's several achievements in this game that can only be accomplished by playing online. One of them is getting a kiss at the or near the end of the game when you save all 4 of the princesses. You have to have all 4 of the characters get a kiss from the 4 princesses. Now we have a new weapon, and we're supposed to visit that guy for a new weapon info. I assume, can we hit back? Because there really wouldn't have been a back button at this point. Information, weapon statistics. And we have a different weapon that seems to do 1 magic, and maybe that's it. I'd say these guys are a little too strong to start with. Take note that there really wasn't a difficulty setting in this game. If I recall correctly, when I first played this game, that really wasn't too much of a problem, although maybe in a later section it got potentially a little grindy. This game is almost 100% grind. That's all they're offering. It is going to potentially, I guess, take away from the idea of this being what most people would think of as a as a RPG, in the fact that you really don't get quests, you don't get side quests. This is much more of just a hack and slash beat 'em up with RPG elements. Now this Grey Knight's interesting because I don't think he's gonna follow me the whole game. Watch your step, I just mopped the floor. Alright, so this would be -1 on some things and +1, but I can't afford it. And this would be a potion, which I think will probably pick up things. And selling things doesn't seem to be an option, so it seems like it's a one-way experience as far as your gameplay is concerned. Like I honestly don't think you ever get anything more. So here we can look at the stats, and eventually we will get stats that can increase our strength or magic or defense or our agility. And by the descriptions of the game itself, clearly we should put everything into magic, at least until we get to that 4th purple hazy pip, and at that point we will potentially have all the spells. Then you might start going up with strength, probably not put too much into defense or archery until we start seeing a reason for that. So we have the Castle Keep was the first mission. The home castle was where we started. We have a blacksmith over here, and we have a King's Arena over here. Blacksmith will let us pick up an item. And here he's got this frog, his tongue turned in, tied down with his mouth open. It's I guess a frogalope, like, because it's got antelope eyes. Then over here we have a pet, almost like Pokemon Center reference, of a Noah's Ark where you'll find animal orbs, and I guess if you get them all you'll find them all. There's a cat up there, but unless I could jump and then gain a ledge by swinging my sword, then like I can only get about as high as that goes right now. So we'll probably get a double jump ability at some point. She's not gonna talk to us. The characters here not bothering to talk to you, which is kind of interesting compared to Deathbank, where Deathbank wanted you to talk to all the characters and then they just had really bad dialogue for it. So I think you get the lovely ability to just select any weapon you've found in the game, and clearly this goes on for quite a long way, so there's quite a few weapons. The 2 DLC elements do give you 5 more weapons each, which, okay, by the looks of it, if each one of these sections is about 6 weapons. We're talking somewhere around 60, 70 weapons, maybe even up to 100. And strength, magic +1. This one is like the neutral one you started with. Agility +1. So how do you equip it? You just swing. You just swing your attack and you equip it that way. Okay. We can't hit his uvula. You'd think there'd be more there, and you would think you'd be able to walk off the edge of the screen on the right side. But you can only apparently do that on the left side. So we definitely aren't ready to take on the Thieves Arena. We need to move forward. And you have here a Mario 3 experience overworld that doesn't really do a lot. It is nice. We have a new combo AA, which is interestingly, it's a jump then an attack. It's nice to see the other knights show up, at least in these first couple levels. Companions there. I just saved that guy and he fought on my behalf, which I think is a gameplay attempt and design here to make it fairly obvious that you want teamwork in this game. A lot of games you don't want teamwork. You're getting individualized XP, you're getting individualized item drops. There's a lot of things games like Borderlands had to do to get around that idea, and one of the things was that item drops in Borderlands are unique to each character's experience, so if you see it you should pick it up. That should be probably the case for everybody. They also implemented the dueling system in Borderlands 1, so that if you get irritated with a player, you can have a duel and fight it out and then move forward to the next things. Here we have some Star Wars Jawas who are apparently capable of archery, but they were looting the body, so I was thinking that they might have more on them. By modern standards, there's a decent number of people on the screen right now. Not a ton. This isn't getting to a 99 Nights style game where there's hundreds if not thousands of enemies on the screen at the same time and you're just doing massive area of effects attacks and you're mashing the buttons. It seems like you have to pick up these gold pieces fairly quickly, and they seem to drop fairly often. It feels like at some point the individualized coins need to start representing 2 or 3 coins so that there's just less of them that you have to run around and collect. Otherwise, you're going to run into a problem of some Rydo. We now have this. Here the guy's doing CPR on the guy. And that guy's bringing a banner up. So already up to level 3, which maybe if you were playing with 4 players you wouldn't be up to level 3. Also, it's a little weird that we can't just take a moment to upgrade. Feels like most games would have something here where you could upgrade your abilities and such inside and just instantly, so that you don't have to drop out of the game to the main map. We're already to a boss fight. I think part of what makes this game a little bit better is the idea that it is not just trying to have you fight 100 enemies, unlike a 99 Nights game where the quests and the levels are very repetitive. We will see more individualized things. And this game, spoiler alert, goes some places. Like, it kind of literally, it goes places. So you're not just fighting these same enemies for very long, and you're not just doing one main story in a fantasy world so much. It does have its own visual joke art style, but I would say it probably doesn't have much of a story. If anything, I think pretty much we've seen all the story of the entire game, and so this might be a game where you're somewhat better suited to just if you are tired with it, if you don't want to play the game anymore, go ahead and just give up on it. It seems like there's phases in this boss fight, and it seems like it's going for a 5-phase system. You can see our health is not amazingly great here, as the amount of attacks seem to be increasing. It doesn't seem like these explosions doesn't seem like the explosions really hurt the bad guys enough, and it does seem like this may just constantly happen. I can definitely sense that now that we're how do you sprint? And see a button that say to sprint. Like, if you were to come back and try and redo this level at level 10, probably not a lot of experience would be gained, nor would it really be worth your time. It is nice that we're leveling up. It also feels like my health went up at some point. I guess when I leveled up I got a full health refill, but otherwise there is kind of a concern. I'm trying to think if maybe I'm doing something wrong, but I don't know. It doesn't feel like you could reflect the like I'm doing what seems like the right move, and I guess the life bar on the bottom probably is an indication that I'm doing the right thing. It's just a lot of phases. I think this probably is a boss fight that could have ended after like the 5th phase, and maybe give the boss more damage that he has to sustain before you get to the next phase, because I'm spinning around here and doing maybe 5 attacks each time, and shooting that's not really gonna do anything. And we'll have to, since we're in the middle of this boss fight, we really won't have time to figure out the other attack that we unlocked. We'll go ahead and use a potion, and that's my only potion, but want to be careful. We're almost done, and then it just ends. There, we've got some coins, and maybe it refilled our health. Oddly, that was only like a sub-boss, or if it was the boss and then they're gonna throw some lesser enemies at me after that point, I don't know what the point of that would be. It doesn't seem like your leveling up actually makes you do more damage though, so it's kind of questionable what the point of a level is. You're doing 5 to 7 damage, so maybe every level it increases your base attack by 1. Unlike Deathbank, maybe the numbers and the economy in this game are just really tight. We can see that in the gold too. We're getting like 1 gold coin. We're doing 5 to 7 damage. Let's see. And here we can knock them out while they're sleeping, which, like, I think all's fair in love and war in this case, and they do step up and attack you after you kill everybody else, so it's not like if you had just walked past them they wouldn't have attacked you. Nice factor in the animation here. They don't have to really draw any faces. They don't have to draw a bunch of unique characters for enemies. We'll probably start to run into some different things. The game probably could have used some tutorial to tell you that you needed to break down this door, but I figured that out. This is a game that feels like you could just go on forever and forever, and since the focus here is for 4 people to be playing at the same time, which I assume there'd be 4 times as many enemies on the screen, if that was the case, like that kind of makes sense. You kind of have this infinite opportunity to just continuously play without being interrupted. And then it's so low stakes of a game that when you need to take a break, that's fine. So the purple haired girl's face is covered, and then we have a green princess, a blue princess, a red princess, and by the looks of it I would assume that the purple haired girl is a princess, but I wouldn't know for certain without the little hat on her. Here we have a nice boss shaking things up. I don't know if it's really the right way to design a game to have the sub boss. I've been pounded into the ground. Having the sub boss be right next to the main boss. I guess it kind of is a statement. They're stealing all the princesses except for the red princess, and I'm the red knight. I guess they could be maidens. It is probably presumptuous to call them princesses, but whatever. Probably, I think the game labels them as princesses too. There's a lot of boss elements there, and then the people stood up and got in my way visually to mess with me. He's drinking something that I think is increasing his health. Yeah. I have to remember I don't have another potion, so I think the game is going to be very helpful. A little bit of a long boss fight playing as one character though, and then you have this. Yeah, I don't know if the gore adds much to the game. It's funny, but I don't think it adds a ton. Now we had 87 gold before, and now collect everything on the field as quickly as possible so it doesn't despawn. And so now they want me to cut free her. So I'm at 207 gold. And so there's the kiss. So there's an achievement for having 4 players do this first section and get the kisses of all 4 of those characters, which is effectively an achievement for just having 4 players beat the first level. Now we've unlocked a new character that I don't know if we'd really want to play with. And there's 4. And there's another 4. So here's what I think we'd probably want to do. Let's go up 4 and then spend the rest of the pips to just kind of balance everything out. Because it does seem like health and defense going up would be a little bit useful, and speed and archery going up would be a little bit useful, and damage going up would be a little bit useful. It does seem like it's a pretty balanced system. So we have new magic, right trigger, and B. Let's see. And so now we can go to the forest entrance, or we can go to the dock. And there's no bigger zoom out of the world at the moment. So let's go to the next level. Yeah. So here we have a dock that looks completely different. Acquire these relics before we can set sail. So the compass we found actually is a factor, and I can't break these lower barrels in the foreground. It's a little weird that there's not a better visual representation between where a area is that's a battle versus where an area is that is just a challenge. Let's see. So here's an arena. That's the last turret out of view. And here we have a cat, a giant cat that will attack you if you're too close to the edge. And over here we have a giant cat. So that's a weird way to do an arena, but kind of a funny visual gag again, without having to go too far. Cat seems to be willing to let you stay away from the stay on the edges if you're outside of his swipe attack. Notice there, I just got totally stun locked between those guys, beaten back and forth, and that didn't really give us anything. So we'll have to take on the arena when we are much higher level. And then immediately level up again. Now they're taking the purple girl. Which I guess is more of a story, more of a misunderstanding there, I guess. I thought you would have gotten all 4 of the princesses freed at that first section, and that would have just been the end of the princesses, although I guess that is also the end of your baseless motivation. This guy is beating me terribly. This isn't really a game though that, like, there was no difficulty settings, so yeah, like settings, game settings, if there were going to be any difficulty settings or a hardcore mode where you intentionally tried not to die, that clearly doesn't exist. Alright, let's see. So we died, and so clearly we need more health. These magic attacks not doing anything. We also didn't like how to play. We didn't figure out the sprint settings. How do you sprint? There's a lot of jumping backwards and forwards. There you go. They wanted me to clearly get on to the dragon, the dinosaur here, and use it. Yep. We've got a strong attack that I've not been really using. And probably should be. And we don't have anything A. And we don't have anything X. So you can either use this to run around and knock the guy around quite a bit as kind of a sub-boss or just a heavy character. And then once you've got the heavy guy gone, you can just rack up on this. And you do have, he'll just bite with the Y attack. I think we'll fairly quickly get to a point where we're close to one hit killing these guys. 1 or 2 hits instead of having to potentially hit these guys and knock them over a lot. There is, though, something to be taken from this, particularly now with the Steam 2-hour refundability. This is all you're going to see in this game, pretty much. That there will be some other aspects, certainly, but it is just going to be a lot of beating up and boss fights. Let's go ahead and hit the trees, since the trees are giving us food, and we figured that out. There seems to be some music. So we found an animal creature hiding back there. He seems to pick up fruit for us, and that's nice. It also opens up the door to not having to run around and collect fruit just in case our health is not at the maximum, which for this game I think our health kind of goes down and up from the maximum quite a lot. Comparing this and just the simplistic basic way that this works to, say, Deathspank, where you had food, you know, we lost our dinosaur, but you had to then eat the food, and any action you pressed, even pausing the menu and going to the map, would stop you from like the guy is pooping because he's afraid. Oh, he's not pooping on me, although I was standing under there. So, yeah, Deathspank's eating mechanism was pretty terrible because it created a system in which you had to run around, and I'm gonna have to learn to block. Not particularly good at that, but it's fairly obvious in this game. These guys are going to try and hit you with an archery shot every time you're anywhere close. No treasure chest key, apparently. No, I just have to get the right angle. Now we have a different weapon that seems to be doing more damage. I think because the Y button does this spin attack, that you actually are better off playing the whole game pressing the Y button. Now that I recall that that's a thing, it does seem like that is your main use. I need to just quit playing terribly here. So here we have a deer, and the deer is pooping and getting projectiled. So crude visual gags compared to the tick style audio jokes in Deathbank. Right. So you've got to kind of do this. I don't know if I have to bring every animal with me to the end of the level, or if you just find these guys and you're fine. So there's kind of just this situation you have to be in where you're potentially gonna die. Like, he's gonna straight up take me out. And that didn't really level me up any. So where was the shop? Because my health is back. I guess if I needed a small amount of gold, that would do something. And here we have one guy that has been saved. But what I need is the health potions. And you would think that there would be a quicker way to get to the health potions than just fast traveling through this. Yeah, that's not really worth your time. So is it under Castle Keep? Yeah. So defense and speed, and probably has to be purchased. And then X, 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 X. 5 is the maximum. And why can I not buy this weapon? Maybe I already have it. Let's see. Owlet retrieves hidden fruit from trees. Is what Owlet does. And then this guy we found, so they do just end up here. There may not be too many animals, and maybe they'll even respawn. Seahorse lets you move through water quickly. Well, I think Owlet is probably better than that. I guess you use the trash element to... Yeah, I guess this is that weapon. And then this is our current weapon. And we've apparently maybe missed some weapons. It's gonna be annoying, certainly, though, if you wanted to run into the game and get a later weapon. Because it will be the later weapons almost certainly that are the better weapons. So there's our level up that we needed. And it doesn't seem like you get any experience for beating anybody, and we can't move any further until we see this cutscene. So this joke falls kind of flat on the second turn. Yep, it does seem like you can fairly easily kind of wreck these guys a little bit more. Yeah, I can also already tell though that in playing this game there's going to be a lot of sections where it's just quietness. Like, if you just have to kind of grind through this is an experience that I assume if there were 4 players playing there would be four times as many enemies, but even at that it probably is still not anywhere as bad to play compared to single player, because 4 players have a much higher chance of 3 of them doing good and 1 of them falling behind at certain points. Yep, these guys like to keep their distance. I'm gonna switch over to the health potions. And I think if I think about this, if there's only 1 health potion in the entire game, since nothing's really getting labeled, this is a really nicely designed game for internationalization. No dialogue or anything. That makes it real cheap in production. Since we're not seeing a label that seems to indicate that we're going to run into any larger health potions, and instead health potions are probably just going to maximize our health to whatever it is, then there's... Right, we'll drink a potion that we heal. There is a good chance that the increasing our health and our defense to the maximum at the beginning will save us a lot of frustration later on. Whereas increasing our base strength doesn't seem like it's really increasing our damage by much. Like, I have 3 or 4 points in damage, and yet I am still only kind of doing 8 damage compared to 5 damage before. Whereas these characters still feel like they have potentially 100 health or more. Yeah, there is quite a slowdown on walking on water. In mini games like this, your best bet is to get the guys up in the air, and this is definitely no exception. Get them up in a air combo like you would try to do in a fighting game. Music is fine. The spawn speed of coins after you defeat somebody is a little slow. Feels like you can kind of easily run in the other direction. Here we've got some other characters that might be accused of being in blackface by modern in 2020. We had a controversy of a character that was not human in any way and still got accused of being in blackface, and they changed its appearance just to avoid more controversy. It does seem fairly hard. Seems fairly hard to hit those treasure chests open. That should be easier. So here we have a bear, and the bear looked like he was the big guy that was afraid, and then he just pooped himself too. So every animal in the forest is terrified of this guy. I know of. And that guy just stole a bag of gold from us, so we now know who that is. He was just doing his laundry, and we just attacked him. This is a great example of why you should never wear a uniform unless you want to be associated with the people. And pretty much don't wear a uniform unless you're willing to be associated with the worst example of those people. Because yeah, that laundry guy could have easily just been an innocent bystander. And that guy's running for his life, and I'm not letting him go. Instead, I'm killing him, and I just got a new weapon for doing that. So here we have a giant ball of blackness, which I don't think he's the big guy either. Now, this game may, as we're getting more combos, it may turn out that it is more of a combo-based fighting game than it would seem at first. And certainly as we have more and more enemies spinning off of this guy, he's like a slime in Minecraft. We are having to hit upward. Here, I need to drink a potion. Good thing. There's no good indicator going on in this game, and I guess you really couldn't have that if you had 4 players playing local. You couldn't have the screen go red or something when a character is about to die. But maybe since I am looking at my own character while I'm playing, there definitely could have been more of a visual indicator that my health is low. And I'm not really seeing that. And magic is pretty much useless at the moment. Maybe that's because I'm just really low. There we go. So we kill him, and that kills everything around here. And then here we have a whole bunch of animals running this way. And there's our pooing and it won't let me go any further down that direction. So I think we're going to have a chase sequence, if I was to guess. So it is the giant thing, and I'm riding the deer. And we need to jump, so I need to not move all the way to the right. Otherwise I won't be able to see it. And we still have one of the deer pulling his way through this, Rocket propelling himself. is definitely not the experience that you'd expect. And I guess what would happen here is if I did that, I would just jump on another deer if I messed up. Which I am messing up. Because those doorways are not particularly wide. And the perspective is not particularly great. It doesn't seem like we're going to fail this, depending on how long this goes. This gag is pretty much played out at this point. It also seems to look like you either had a lot more deer at the beginning than it seemed like, or they spawned in some more. They had them group up and then ungroup to make it look like there was a lot less of them. A lot more of them. There you go. And you can see in the background there's a apparently the whole mission here is gonna be in this level, so it's not just saving yourself. This guy, we are fighting him. You just have to fight him with the double attack. The double attack, or at least A and then Y seems to work fairly well. And then there's just a lot of floating items, which I imagine will be reused 3D art assets. Although 3D is the wrong probably descriptor. Really doesn't look like there's any other thing we're doing. So we went from a sub-boss fight to a chase sequence to a boss fight. So it feels like there could have been some better balance, for sure. Now people are shooting arrows at me. But yeah, fighting two of these guys instead of grinding. Oh, I think I just used a potion that I didn't really want to do. Alright. Alright, there we go. I just figured out what I was supposed to be doing. I'm supposed to find something to ride on and stand on it instead of swimming and hassling myself. There we go. That's a way better system. Feels like the game should have probably done a better job at that, though. So we got a whole bunch of these now. Man, that has a way different experience when you know what you're doing. And it's no surprise then that the game felt the need to throw so much food around here. There we go. Yeah, you can, if you're riding something, you can then take out these guys fairly easily. But if you can't, then you're stuck, frustrated. And I have this seahorse pet, and clearly the seahorse pet is not the pet to go with. And these food items only doing so much. And here we have the king helping us. Thank goodness. So he's gonna punch me and then shoot off cannonballs. And then you can jump, you just can't get knocked off by an enemy when riding something. So we've gone from a chase sequence to a kind of messed up sequence, a water sequence, which the water levels in most games suck, and I would say this is particularly going to be one of those cases where I may have to be fairly careful. If I'm not, I'm going to really mess this up. Like, my health is not great. I'm trying to hit this guy hard and I am not succeeding at that. So I probably should just do something like this or something like this. I think you're probably safer. I'm gonna let him hit me one more time and hope that's not gonna kill me. Actually, I'm not. So we're down to 1 health potion. This guy is killing me terribly. Is there possibly some magic he's weak to? Because his health is not going down anywhere fast enough. Seems like we kind of run into trouble. Let's see, I've got him like down to half, and I really don't have him that down. Yeah, my magic's not really doing anything. What am I supposed to be doing? What would this experience really be like with 4 players? Feels like there'd just be more people. And he's just wrecking me. There, we got a level up, which gave us a free health. But I don't know if that's enough. Just gonna avoid this guy. I think that's the idea. And then maybe this attack stuns. Maybe there's more to it that because of that. I guess maybe I'm supposed to also be blocking. So let's try that. Like, I tried to block there, it didn't work. We're like now at the halfway point. Yeah, I don't know if I'm supposed to be breaking his teeth, or if I'm supposed to be trying to hit the guy behind him. Or if I'm just supposed to be avoiding attacks altogether. maybe that was it. He just kind of feels like he has a very large not hitbox. The opposite of a hitbox, just areas you can't hit him. And unless I'm getting XP for taking hits, that's the last of our potions. It really does just feel like I'm going to waste my time. I think I'm supposed to just avoid him. There is a problem with the way taking damage and dealing damage have the same sound effect. Like, that really shouldn't be the case. Alright, I'm just gonna avoid and see if I can convince it to crash into the ship. Am I in line with the ship? Yeah, lining him up and getting him to hit the ship does do 10 damage, which is a decent amount of damage on this very tight, simplified scale. Alright, so we're just gonna swim in front of that. So if we can pull this off, I'll be surprised, since we finally figured out what to do. It's almost little puzzles instead of actually just standard fighting challenges. I don't know if the hairballs are supposed to represent something or what. Come on down here. Not yet. Might be able to pull this off. Like, yeah, I don't know if maybe the hairballs would have something inside of them. Right. Stand right here. Well, as long as I don't just straight up die, I think we managed to win. And I think the game probably helped us quite a bit to make it so we managed to win. And hopefully that's the end of this level, because if it isn't, I am fully spent as far as things. Now, this XP that we collect here, is this extra XP for beating the level? And I don't know what, I guess the skull is the idea of defeating the number of creatures you've defeated. You can also see on the left of this menu that there is a decent number of items, but since we've already found several of them, we're going to kind of quickly run out of that. So I guess if we want more magic power, we should do something like this. Or do we want more attack? Magic, I think, is actually pretty bad. So I think what we probably would want to do is something closer to this. Just more strength to do more of a base attack to speed up this, and then more defense. Wow, and we went long because of that. And we actually finished, we unlocked the Thieves Arena, and we finished several levels because the game just kind of goes forward. Interesting. It's a weird way for this to go. And here we have a Thieves Store, which really nothing's gonna stop me from buying these. Although these are actually more expensive here. We'll buy a weapon. We'll also buy a bunch of bombs, because clearly having bombs has some benefit. I recall when I first played this game, it was rather long and grindy, or at least it felt that way. Now it kind of doesn't feel that way. So it could have been that just at that certain time in my life I was so busy doing other things that some of that made it feel that way, but it could also be that this game does get a little bit long and grindy. I could definitely agree with that feeling to some extent. Let's see. Just by the fact that there's a decent number of repetitiveness in the game. So yeah, we're an hour and 17 minutes into the game. Theoretically, howlongtobeat.com says this is anywhere between 7 hours to beat the full game, or depending on your playstyle, there's kind of a very high, almost 40 to 50 hours of playing it, which kind of makes sense if you were going to try and play it 4 times all the way through as a completionist, so that you play as each character. And my red character, pretty much I'm pot committed as playing as him for the rest of the game, because I don't see any reason why you wouldn't want to do that. That's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend or follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below in the description box. And if you want to support me further, there's a link to Patreon, or you can friend me on Steam and gift me a game off my wishlist. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.